Marcus Chen walked through the massive auction hall on Vexlar Station with exactly 847 credits in his account. It was everything he had left after his last salvage job went bad. The station was crowded with aliens from 100 different worlds, all here to bid on confiscated ships and cargo. Beautiful spacecraft floated in display fields around the hall. Sleek Kalahari pleasure yachts that looked like silver tears. Fast Razcor interceptors with wings that shimmered like insect shells. Even a Thornback warship, all curves and deadly elegance. Marcus watched wealthy merchants and corporate buyers snap them up for millions of credits. He wasn't here for those ships. He was here for parts. Maybe he could buy some broken equipment, fix it up, and sell it for enough to eat for another month. Lot number 4471. The auctioneer's voice boomed across the hall. The holographic display flickered and showed a ship that made the crowd gasp. Not in admiration. In horror. It was the ugliest spacecraft Marcus had ever seen. The ship looked like someone had taken a brick, covered it in mismatched armor plates, and called it done. Thick metal panels jutted out at odd angles. Rust stains covered the hull. Ancient human military symbols were barely visible under centuries of wear. It sat in the corner of the auction floor like a diseased animal no one wanted to touch. The Indomitable, the auctioneer said with barely hidden disgust. Human military vessel. 300 years old. Decommissioned. 17 previous owners. All abandoned it. Reactor functions at 40%. Life support is questionable. A Kalahari merchant near Marcus laughed. Why is that thing even here? Just scrap it. We tried, the auctioneer admitted. The salvage crews gave up. Said it would cost more to cut apart than the metal is worth. All that primitive armor is too thick. The crowd laughed. Marcus stared at the ship. It was definitely ugly. But there was something about it. Those armor plates weren't random. They overlapped like scales. Like someone had built this ship expecting it to take a beating. Opening bid, the auctioneer sighed. 10 credits. Do I hear 10 credits for this vessel? Silence filled the hall. Marcus could hear his own heartbeat. 10 credits. That was less than a decent meal. Anyone? 10 credits? The auctioneer looked around desperately. Marcus raised his hand. He didn't know why. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe it was stupidity. We have 10 credits from the human in the back. The auctioneer sounded relieved. Do I hear 15? 20? Anyone? Anyone? More laughter. A Thornback called out, "Keep it human. It matches your species ugly and obsolete." The hall erupted in mockery. Marcus felt his face burn, but he kept his hand up. Going once, going twice, sold to the human for 10 credits. The auctioneer slammed his gavel down fast, like he wanted to forget this embarrassment. Marcus made his way to the docking bay, ignoring the stares and whispers. The station master met him there, holding a datapad with the ship's registration. "You sure about this?" the old Gorvathi asked. His 4 eyes looked sympathetic. "This ship has broken every owner. Most lasted a week before they sold it back. Or tried to. Usually they just abandon it." "Why?" Marcus asked. "Go see for yourself." The station master transferred the registration. "She's all yours now. Good luck. You'll need it." Marcus walked across the docking bridge to the Indomitable. Up close, it was even worse. The airlock was ancient, with a manual wheel lock that squeaked when he turned it. The door opened with a hiss of stale air. Inside was dark. Emergency lights flickered on as he stepped aboard. The corridor was narrow, with exposed pipes and cables running along the walls. Everything looked heavy, industrial, brutal. This wasn't a ship built for comfort. It was built for war. "New owner detected," a female voice said from speakers somewhere above. Marcus jumped. "Who's that?" I'm Maddie. Military Adaptive Defense Intelligence. I run this ship. And who are you? The next fool who's going to abandon me in a week? Marcus Chen. And I just spent my last 10 credits on you, so I'm not going anywhere. 10 credits? Maddie's laugh was bitter. I used to be worth 40 million. How the mighty have fallen. Marcus walked through the ship, Maddie's voice following him. Every room was the same, cramped, overbuilt, covered in redundant systems. The reactor room looked like it belonged in a museum. The bridge had actual physical buttons and switches. Why is everything so old? Marcus asked. Because humans 300 years ago didn't trust fancy technology, Maddie said. They wanted backups for their backups. Manual controls in case computers failed. Armor thick enough to survive nuclear war. This ship was built to take damage and keep fighting. Marcus sat in the captain's chair. It was uncomfortable. The view screen was small. The controls were confusing. He had no idea how to fly this thing. But in the engineering bay, he'd found something interesting. Weapon systems. Lots of them. More than any decommissioned ship should have. Maddie, he said slowly. This ship still has guns. Maybe, she said innocently. Maybe someone forgot to remove them. Maybe they tried and gave up because human engineers over-engineered the removal system too. Marcus smiled for the first time in weeks. I think you and I are going to get along just fine. Outside the viewport, he could see other ships leaving the station. Beautiful ships. Fast ships. Expensive ships. His ship looked like a flying garbage heap. But it was his flying garbage heap. 3 weeks passed. Marcus worked on the Indomitable every day, learning its systems. The ship was like a puzzle made by paranoid engineers. Everything had 3 backup systems. The reactor was old but incredibly stable. Maddie taught him the controls, complaining the entire time about how slow he was learning. The last captain knew these systems in 2 days, she grumbled. The last captain also abandoned you. Marcus shot back. Maddie went quiet after that. Slowly, the ship came alive. Marcus got the engines running at 60%. He fixed the life support. The lights stopped flickering. He even cleaned the corridors, finding old human military patches and photos left behind by the original crew. They were good people, Maddie said softly when Marcus asked about them. They trusted me. We fought together. Then the war ended. And they left. Everyone left. And I've been alone ever since. Marcus understood loneliness. Well, I'm here now. And I'm not leaving. He needed supplies and fuel. So he flew the Indomitable to Frontier Station Kappa, a trading outpost on the edge of civilized space. The flight was rough. The ship handled like a flying brick. But it got there. At the station, Marcus was loading cargo when alarms started screaming. Red lights flashed everywhere. The station's speakers crackled to life. All ships evacuate immediately. Razcor pirates inbound. 4 raiders attacking the Silk Wind. Through the station windows, Marcus saw it happening. A beautiful Kalahari merchant ship, the Silk Wind, was surrounded by 4 sleek pirate vessels. They were firing plasma bolts, cutting through the merchant ship's shields. Every other ship at the station powered up and jumped away. Fast. In 30 seconds, the docking area was empty except for the Indomitable. Marcus, we should go, Maddie said urgently. This isn't our fight. Marcus watched the Silk Wind take another hit. Its shields were failing. The Kalahari crew would die in minutes, and everyone was just leaving them. How fast can we get there? Marcus asked. Are you insane? We barely have weapons online. Our shields are at half power. The reactor. How fast, Maddie? A pause. Then, 2 minutes if I push the engines. But Marcus, we can't win this fight. Maybe we don't need to win. Maybe we just need to not lose. Marcus strapped into the captain's chair. Take us in. The Indomitable lurched forward, accelerating toward the battle. The pirate ships immediately noticed the approaching vessel. Marcus heard their communications channel. They were laughing. "Look, a trash barge is coming to help," one pirate howled. "This will be fun." Two of the pirate ships broke off from the Silk Wind and turned toward Marcus. They were fast, sleek, built for hit-and-run attacks. The Indomitable looked slow and clumsy in comparison. "Incoming fire," Maddie warned. Plasma bolts slammed into the Indomitable's hull. Marcus braced for damage, but nothing happened. The bolts splashed across the thick armor plates, like water on stone. "Shields holding at 90%, Maddie reported, surprised. "That armor is actually working." The pirates fired again. And again. The Indomitable just kept coming, tanking hits that would have vaporized modern ships. Marcus could hear confusion in the pirates' chatter now. "What is that thing made of?" "Spite and old human paranoia," Marcus muttered. "Railguns online. Missile pods. Operational. Close defense lasers ready. Marcus, these weapons shouldn't exist on a decommissioned ship. Good thing someone forgot to remove them. Target the closest pirate." The Indomitable might have been slow, but its weapons were terrifying. The railgun fired with a sound like thunder. A solid metal slug shot out at incredible speed and punched straight through the first pirate ship's engines. The raider spun out of control. Venting. Atmosphere. The second pirate tried to dodge, but Marcus didn't aim where the ship was. He aimed where it would be. The missile pods opened, and 6 rockets streaked out. 3 missed. 3 hit. The pirate ship exploded in a ball of fire. The remaining 2 pirates stopped attacking the Silk Wind and focused on Marcus. They were faster, circling around the Indomitable, looking for weak spots. "They're trying to flank us," Maddie warned. "Then, let's not give them a chance." Marcus did something crazy. He flew straight at one of the pirate ships, using the Indomitable, like a battering ram. The pirate captain screamed and tried to dodge. Too slow. The Indomitable's armored bow smashed into the raider's side. Metal shrieked. The pirate ship crumpled and tumbled away, dead in space. The last pirate had seen enough. Its engines flared bright, and it jumped away into hyperspace, abandoning its crew. Silence filled the communication channels. Marcus was breathing hard. The Indomitable had taken dozens of hits, but was still fully functional. Barely a dent in the armor. The Silk Wind sent a transmission. A Kalahari captain appeared on screen. Her face shocked. You saved us. Why? No one helps in Razcor space. It's too dangerous." Marcus shrugged. "Seemed like the right thing to do. I am Captain Saris of the Silk Wind. I owe you my life and my crew's lives. Let me pay you. Please. Keep your money," Marcus said. "Just do me one favor. Tell people about this. Tell them the Indomitable is available for hire, for escort jobs, dangerous runs, whatever needs doing." Captain Saris smiled. "I will tell everyone I meet about the crazy human in the armored coffin who fights when everyone else runs. Thank you. Marcus Chen." As the Silk Wind limped toward the station for repairs, Maddie spoke quietly. "That was either the bravest or stupidest thing I've ever seen." Marcus grinned. "Maybe both. But we won, didn't we? We survived. There's a difference." But Maddie sounded pleased. Though I must admit, it felt good to fight again. To help someone. Marcus looked at his ship. Ugly. Slow. Outdated. But it had done something beautiful. Ships couldn't do. It had taken a beating and kept fighting. It had saved lives. "I think we're going to do this again," he said. "I was afraid you'd say that," Maddie replied. But she didn't sound afraid at all. Word would spread fast in the frontier. The Indomitable was open for business. Captain Saris kept her promise. Within 2 weeks, everyone in the frontier zones had heard the story. The human in the ugly ship who fought 4 Razcor raiders and won. The crazy captain who charged into battle while everyone else ran away. Marcus started getting calls. Lots of calls. A Thornback merchant needed an escort through the contested border where pirates hunted daily. Marcus took the job. The Indomitable flew through 3 ambushes, tanking fire that destroyed 2 pirate ships stupid enough to get close. The merchant paid double. A mining colony needed supplies delivered through the radiation fields of Kex 7, where solar storms fried delicate modern electronics. Other ships wouldn't risk it. Marcus flew straight through. The Indomitable's heavy shielding, built for nuclear warfare, handled the radiation like it was nothing. A refugee transport needed protection from slavers. Marcus escorted them for free. When the slavers attacked, the Indomitable sat between them and the refugees like an armored wall. The slavers gave up after an hour of shooting uselessly at the hull. Money started flowing in. Real money. Marcus used it to hire crew. First came Rix, a 4-armed Gorvathi engineer. He was old, with gray scales and tired eyes. He'd worked on modern ships his whole life, and was bored. "I heard you have a human antique," Rix said at the interview. 300 years old. Original systems. "I want to see how it works." Marcus showed him the engineering bay. Rix's 4 eyes went wide with fascination. "This is beautiful," he said, running his hands over the reactor. "Look at this redundancy. 3 cooling systems. Backup generators for the backup generators. Modern ships are so fragile. But this is built to survive the end of the world." "So you'll join?" Marcus asked. "Are you joking? I've been waiting my whole life to work on something this interesting." The second crew member found Marcus. Her name was Keela, a Thornback Marine who'd been dishonorably discharged for disobeying orders. She was tall, covered in natural armor plates, and had scars across her face. "I know this ship class," she said, standing in the cargo bay. "I studied human military history. This is a Fortress-class cruiser, built during humanity's void wars. Designed for one purpose: survive everything and hit back harder." "You want to join?" Marcus asked, surprised. "I was discharged for refusing to abandon civilians under fire," Keela said quietly. "My commanders said I was too reckless, too stubborn. I hear you're the same. I want to serve on a ship where doing the right thing matters more than following safe orders." Marcus shook her hand. "Welcome aboard." With a full crew, the Indomitable became even more effective. Rix improved the reactor efficiency to 70%. Keela trained Marcus in combat tactics. Maddie seemed happier with voices filling the empty corridors again. Then came the big job. The Kalahari Consortium sent an official contract. A medical transport needed to reach Colony Theta 9 inches the Veil Nebula. A plague was killing thousands. The medicine on that transport would save lives. But the Veil Nebula was a navigation nightmare. Sensors didn't work properly, and raiders used it as a hunting ground. Every reputable escort company had refused the job. Too dangerous. The consortium was offering 1 million credits. "It's a trap," Maddie warned during the crew meeting. "The Razcor use the Veil Nebula as their base. They'll know about this transport. They'll be waiting." "Those people are dying," Marcus said. Rix checked his engineering readouts. "The ship can handle the nebula. Our sensors are already primitive, we navigate manually anyway. And our armor doesn't care about ambushes." Kella nodded. "If it's the Razcor, they remember us. They want revenge for the ships we destroyed. They'll come with everything they have." Marcus looked at his crew. "I'm taking this job, but I won't order you to come. This could be suicide." Rix laughed. "I didn't join to be safe. I joined for interesting problems." Keela smiled. "I'm a Marine. Suicide missions are my specialty. Then we go together, Marcus said. The Indomitable met the medical transport at the nebula's edge. The transport captain was a nervous Kalahari named Ven. Thank you for taking this job, Ven said over communications. We know the risks. Stay close to us, Marcus replied. We'll get you through. They entered the Veil Nebula. Immediately, sensors went haywire. The purple and blue gases swirled around them, blocking visibility. Marcus had to navigate by instruments and instinct. They were 2 hours in when Maddie's alarms screamed. Contact! Multiple ships decloaking! Her voice was sharp. 12 Razkor raiders. It's the entire fleet. Contact. Razkor. The view screen lit up with targeting markers. 12 sleek pirate ships surrounded them in a perfect ambush formation. They'd been waiting, hiding in the nebula's interference. The lead Razkor captain's voice came over the open channel. Hello again, human. Remember us? You destroyed our ships, killed our brothers. The medical transport captain was panicking. We have to run. We can't fight 12 ships. Marcus looked at his crew. Rix was already rerouting power. Kayla was loading weapons manually. Maddie was calculating firing solutions. No, Marcus said calmly. We don't run. He opened a channel to the medical transport. Captain Ven, stay directly behind us. Don't move unless I tell you to. What are you going to do? Ven asked, terrified. Marcus positioned the Indomitable between the transport and the pirate fleet. The ugly armored ship settled into place like a castle gate slamming shut. Maddie, activate Protocol Thermopylae. Finally, Maddie said. Protocol active. All systems to defensive configuration. Marcus, this protocol was designed for last stands. For holding ground when retreat is impossible. The Razkor fleet opened fire. 12 ships, all at once. Plasma bolts and missiles filled space with deadly light. The Indomitable took every hit. Armor plates glowed red. Hull breaches opened. Alarms screamed. But the ship didn't move. It stayed between the pirates and the medical transport, an armored shield refusing to break. Return fire, Marcus ordered. The battle had begun. And the Indomitable was going to show the Razkor what human stubbornness really meant. The Veil Nebula burned with weapons fire. 12 Razkor ships circled the Indomitable like predators around wounded prey. But the prey refused to die. Hull breach on Deck 3, Rick shouted from engineering. Sealing it now. Port weapons offline, Keela reported from the gun deck. Switching to manual control. Marcus gripped the captain's chair as another volley slammed into the ship. The Indomitable shook violently, but it held position. Behind them, the medical transport stayed safe in their shadow. Damage report, Marcus called out. 30% armor loss on the starboard side. Maddie responded. Reactor at 60%. Life support failing in sections 4 through 7. Fires on 3 decks. We're being torn apart. Marcus. But are we dead? Marcus asked. A pause. No, not yet. Then we keep fighting. The Razkor were getting frustrated. They'd been firing for 20 minutes straight. Any normal ship would be debris by now. But the Indomitable kept shooting back, its railguns and missiles hitting pirate ships whenever they got too close. 2 Razkor raiders were already drifting, engines destroyed. A third was venting atmosphere. But 9 remained, and they were learning. They stayed at range, wearing the Indomitable down, slowly. Marcus, we can't win this way, Kella said, firing the starboard cannons manually. They'll eventually break through our armor. We need a new strategy. Marcus stared at the tactical display. The pirates thought they were winning. They thought the Indomitable was trapped, dying slowly. They were patient, careful, staying safe. That was their mistake. Maddie, Marcus said quietly. Tell me about your original captain, Admiral Madeline Cross. The ship went silent except for the sound of weapons fire. Maddie had never talked about her origins before. "Why now?" Maddie asked. "Because I need to understand how this ship thinks. How it was meant to fight." A long pause. Then, Maddie spoke. Her voice softer than Marcus had ever heard. "Admiral Cross commanded me during the Centauri siege. We were outnumbered 8-1. Our fleet was destroyed. Everyone told her to retreat. She refused. She said the Indomitable was built for one thing, to hold the line when retreat meant death for others." "What happened?" Marcus asked. "We held for 3 days. Took damage that should have killed us 10 times over. But we didn't move. Didn't run. The enemy eventually gave up and retreated. We were still floating, still fighting." Maddie's voice grew fierce. "Admiral Cross taught me that survival isn't about being the strongest. It's about being too stubborn to quit. When she died, she uploaded her consciousness into my systems. She chose to stay with the ship. With me." Marcus understood now. The Indomitable wasn't just a ship. It was a philosophy. It was human stubbornness, turned into metal and armor. "The Razcor expect us to defend," Marcus said. "They think we're trapped. So, let's do what they don't expect." "What's that?" Keela asked. Marcus smiled grimly. "We attack." "With respect, Captain, that's insane," Rick said from engineering. "We're barely holding together. The Razcor flagship is hanging back, coordinating the attack." Marcus pointed at the tactical screen. "If we take it out, the fleet loses coordination. They'll panic. We'll never get close," Maddie said. "They'll concentrate all fire on us. We'll be destroyed before we reach them." "Maybe," Marcus admitted. "But they're used to fighting fragile ships. Ships that value survival over mission. They don't understand what the Indomitable really is." He opened the channel to the medical transport. "Captain Venn, when I move, you run. Full speed to the colony. Don't stop for anything." "You'll die," Venn protested. "Maybe. But you'll live. And those medicines will save thousands. That's what matters. Now, get ready to run." Marcus turned to his crew. "Rix, give me everything the reactor has left. I don't care if it explodes afterward. Kayla, load every missile we have. Maddie, plot a ramming course to the Razcor flagship." "Ramming?" Maddie sounded shocked. "Marcus, that's a suicide tactic from 300 years ago. Nobody does that anymore." "Exactly. They won't expect it." Marcus strapped in. "Everyone ready?" Rix's 4 hands flew over his controls. "Reactor at maximum. She'll burn out, but you'll have power for 3 minutes." Keela locked herself into the weapons station. "All missiles loaded. If we're going to die, let's make it count." "Protocol Thermopylae was for defense," Maddie said slowly. "But Admiral Cross had another protocol. Protocol Leonidas. For when defense isn't enough. For when you have to take the fight to them. No matter the cost." "Activate it," Marcus said. The Indomitable changed. Every defensive system switched to offense. Shields redirected forward. All weapons powered up simultaneously. The old warship showed what it was truly built for, not just to survive, but to hurt the enemy even while dying. "Engaging," Marcus shouted. The Indomitable surged forward, not away from the Razcor fleet, but straight into it. The pirates were shocked. Ships scattered in confusion. "He's attacking!" The Razcor flagship captain screamed. "All ships, concentrate fire!" 9 pirate ships fired everything they had. The Indomitable flew into a storm of plasma and missiles. Armor plates exploded. Hull sections tore away. Fires raged through the corridors. But the ship kept coming. Marcus launched every missile. They streaked out like angry hornets, targeting the flagship. The Razcor tried to shoot them down. They missed half. Explosions rippled across the flagship's shields. The Indomitable closed the distance. 500 meters. 300. 100. The Roscorps captain realized what was happening. He's going to ram. Evade. Evade. Too late. The Indomitable crashed into the Roscorps flagship like a hammer into glass. The sound was terrible, metal screaming, ships breaking, explosions echoing through space. The collision threw Marcus against his restraints. Alarms shrieked. Systems failed across the ship, but the Indomitable's design saved them. The armored bow, built to ram through enemy lines, survived. The Roscorps flagship didn't. It crumpled. Its elegant hull never meant to take that kind of impact. The flagship spun away, broken and lifeless. The remaining Roscorps ships stared in horror. Their flagship was destroyed by a ship they'd called garbage, by a tactic they thought was extinct. They ran. All 8 of them, jumping to hyperspace as fast as their engines could charge. Marcus looked at the view screen. The medical transport was racing toward the colony at full speed, safe and free. "We did it," he whispered. "Barely," Maddie replied. "Reactor is at 10%. We have hull breaches on every deck. Life support is critical. We're drifting. Marcus, we might not make it back." "But they will," Marcus said, watching the medical transport disappear. "That's what matters." Rix's voice came over the intercom, weak but alive. "I can. Maybe. Get us to the colony. If the reactor doesn't explode first." "Do it," Marcus said. The Indomitable limped through the nebula, more wreck than ship. But it was still flying, still fighting. News of the battle spread faster than light. The galaxy was about to learn a lesson humanity had known for centuries. Sometimes, being too stubborn to die is the greatest weapon of all. The Indomitable barely made it to Colony Theta-9. Rix kept the dying reactor running through sheer willpower and creative cursing. When they finally docked, half the ship was held together with emergency patches and prayers. The colony erupted in celebration. The medical transport had arrived. Thousands would live because of the medicines. Captain Venn told everyone how the ugly human warship had fought 12 Roscorps raiders and won. Marcus spent 2 weeks in the colony's repair dock. The engineers who examined the Indomitable were amazed it was still in one piece. They fixed what they could, though many said the ship should be retired. "She's done enough," one engineer told Marcus. "This ship has earned its rest." But Maddie disagreed. "I'm not dead yet, and neither is this ship." While repairs continued, Marcus received an unexpected visitor. A Galactic Defense Coalition admiral named Terex, a dignified Kalahari with silver scales and sharp eyes. "Captain Chen," Terex said formally, "the Coalition has been watching your activities. The incident in the Veil Nebula was remarkable." "We just did our job," Marcus said. "You did something no modern fleet could do," Terex corrected. "You survived a sustained assault by 12 hostile vessels and completed your mission. Our analysts have been studying the battle data. Do you know why you won?" Marcus shrugged. "Luck? Stupidity? Good armor? No. You won because your ship is obsolete." Terex pulled up a holographic display. "We face a new threat. The Void Collective. A machine intelligence spreading through frontier space. It uses electromagnetic pulses to disable ships. Then, hacks their AI systems. Modern vessels are helpless. Our beautiful, efficient, advanced ships are useless against this enemy." Marcus began to understand. But the Indomitable has manual controls, primitive computers that can't be hacked, redundant systems that don't rely on delicate electronics, armor that doesn't fail when the power goes out. Terex looked at Marcus seriously. "We need ships that can fight stupid. Ships that don't need advanced technology to function. Ships like yours." You want to build more? Marcus asked, surprised. We want to find more. There are dozens of old human warships scattered across the galaxy. In junkyards, auction houses, scrap yards. We tried to destroy them years ago but gave up because they were too difficult to dismantle. Tarek smiled slightly. That same stubbornness makes them perfect for fighting the collective. We want you to lead a fleet of these vessels. Find them, crew them, and prepare to defend the frontier. Marcus thought about it. Leading a fleet, commanding ships. It was more responsibility than he'd ever imagined. I'll do it, he said. On one condition. We do things my way. We take jobs that matter. We protect people who need protecting. Agreed, Tarek said immediately. The coalition will provide funding and support. How much do you need? Marcus grinned. Enough to go back to Vexlar Station. I have some shopping to do. 3 months later, Marcus stood in the same auction hall where his journey began. But everything was different now. The same auctioneer who'd sold him the Indomitable for 10 credits now sweated nervously. In the display fields floated 6 ugly human warships. Fortress-class cruisers, like the Indomitable. Dreadnought-class destroyers covered in weapons. Even an ancient carrier with launch bays for fighter craft. Lot 772. The auctioneer announced. Human destroyer. 250 years old. Opening bid is 50,000 credits, Marcus called out. The crowd gasped. Wealthy merchants and corporate buyers stared at him. This was the human who'd become famous across the frontier. The captain, who fought impossible odds and won. Sold, the auctioneer said quickly. To Captain Chen. Marcus bought all 6 ships. The auctioneer could barely count the credits fast enough. Word had spread about Marcus's mission. Volunteers arrived from across the galaxy. Aliens who'd heard about the Indomitable's battles. People who wanted to serve on ships that stood for something more than profit. Captain Saris arrived with her entire crew. You saved my life once. Let me return the favor. 1. Rix brought a dozen Gorvathi engineers, all excited to work on primitive human technology. Keela recruited former soldiers, Marines who'd been discharged for caring too much about civilians. Even the station master came. I told you that ship would break you, he said to Marcus. I was wrong. It made you into something special. Marcus assembled his fleet in orbit around Vexlar Station. 7 ugly, armored warships that the galaxy had thrown away. Each one was scarred, outdated, and covered in mismatched repairs. They were beautiful. The Galactic Defense Coalition sent congratulations. Frontier colonies sent thanks. The Kalhari Consortium sent contracts. Everyone wanted the protection of the stubborn fleet, as people were calling it. Marcus stood on the Indomitable's bridge, watching his fleet form up. Maddie's voice was warm with pride. From one ship nobody wanted to a fleet everyone needs. Admiral Cross would have loved this. We're not admirals, Marcus said. We're just people who refuse to quit. That's exactly what makes you dangerous, Maddie replied. The galaxy spent centuries making everything efficient, streamlined, perfect. They forgot that sometimes you need something that can take a beating and keep fighting. A transmission came in. The Void Collective had been spotted near the border. 3 colonies were threatened. Modern fleets were retreating, their ships vulnerable to the Collective's attacks. Captain Chen, the Coalition Admiral said. Can your fleet respond? Marcus looked at his crew, at his ships, at everything they'd built, from nothing. We're on our way, he said. As the fleet prepared to jump, Marcus thought about that day at the auction. When he'd raised his hand for a ship nobody wanted. When the galaxy had laughed at him. 10 credits. The best investment he'd ever made. The Indomitable and its sister ships engaged their engines. They weren't fast. They weren't beautiful. They weren't advanced. But they were human. Which meant they were stubborn enough to save the galaxy. The ugly fleet jumped to hyperspace, leaving Vexlar Station behind. The same station where Marcus had been mocked for buying garbage. Now, they were calling him a hero. Funny how things change. In the cargo bay of the Indomitable, Marcus had mounted a small plaque. It read, "Nobody wanted this ship. Now nobody can stop it." Maddie chuckled. "You're getting sentimental in your old age, Captain." "Maybe," Marcus admitted, "but it's true. We proved that being underestimated is the best advantage. Let the galaxy have their sleek ships and fancy technology. We'll keep our ugly armor and stubborn hearts." Approaching the conflict zone, Keeler reported. "Enemy contacts ahead. Enemy. 2. Enemy. All ships, battle formation," Marcus ordered. "Show the Void Collective what happens when they mess with ships too stupid to know they should lose." The fleet formed up. 7 ugly warships against an army of machines. The galaxy watched. And the galaxy learned an important lesson that day. Never count humans out. And never, ever, laugh at their ugly ships. Because sometimes, the worst investment in the galaxy becomes the thing that saves everyone. Marcus smiled as the Indomitable charged into battle. 10 credits well spent.